Can't afford to live. Too many of us here in the United States are suffering from that problem. So if you're struggling to make ends meet, you're not alone. Today we're talking about a very real problem that so many people face right now. Not being able to afford to live. Cost of living is through the roof. And it feels like the wages aren't keeping up. If you're finding it hard to pay for your rent, buy groceries, or even save a little bit of money, stick around. Because we're going to dive deep into the causes, the struggles, and most importantly, what can we do about it? The rising cost of living. Life is getting more expensive. From rent hikes to gas prices that seem to climb every week, it's no wonder why so many people are feeling financially squeezed. In fact, studies show that the cost of living has been rising faster than wages for years, pretty much for decades. That's not just the essentials. Everything costs more. In 2023, inflation jumped nearly 8%. That means you paid for groceries last year could cost you 20 to 30% more today. The same groceries. That's insane. Has your income raised 30%? Did the boss give you that big fat raise? Oh yeah. Hey John, you're doing great. Screw that 2% annual raise. We're giving you 30%. Yeah, right. For many people, it's making it harder to save, let alone get ahead financially. If you're renting, you know how tough it is out there. Rent prices skyrocketing across the country. Cities like New York and San Francisco, it's crazy. You can spend $3,000-$4,000 a month in this little shoebox apartment, basically with 1.5 rooms. No way. According to recent data, the average rent price for one-bedroom apartment has increased by over 30% in the last decade. It's not just about finding a place to live anymore. It's about affording it. Many people are now spending half or more of their income just on rent. Can you imagine that? Every month, half of what you bring home goes just to rent. That's just rent, not all the other bills of everyday life. And when you factor in utilities, transportation, food, on and on and on, there's not much left for anything else.
Every end of the month, it's always been a struggle for us. We always have to think about whether we can pay rent, whether we can afford grocery items, whether we can pay for our metro subway cards.
I couldn't pay my rent, so my son helped me out to pay my rent.
My story, my mom's story, these are stories that are just one of many millions living in New York City.
My homeowner's insurance went up by 30%. My auto insurance went up by $60 a month. My medical just went up. It just keeps going up and up this past year.
The rent's crazy. Hard to find a place that I can afford to live in.
I grew up in this city and, can't afford to live where I grew up.
Cost of living in New York is ridiculous. When I was a kid, long time ago, rents were affordable for people who made just an average salary. It's not like that anymore.
Can't afford to live. That's on many of our minds on a daily basis. How does that affect our mental health? If you're feeling anxious or stressed about your finances, you're not alone. The pressure of living paycheck to paycheck takes a real toll on mental health. Financial stress can lead to anxiety, depression, even physical health issues. And you know how it is. If you're trying to sleep at night, you can't because you're stressed out, or maybe you fall asleep for about an hour and then you wake up jittery. That's anxiety, the anxiousness, the jitters. It's like you drank a pot of coffee at 3 in the morning. That's no way to live. When you're constantly worrying about money, it can feel like there's no way out. So the struggle to afford basic living costs isn't just about numbers. It's deeply human experience. And it's important to acknowledge the emotional weight it brings.
Financial stress is like a program on your computer that's taking up all the processing power. Like nothing else can load because this one thing is just taking up all the space. And if we're not careful, we're actually going to end up soothing that stress in ways that make it worse. Like maybe you avoid checking your bank account, or you're caught in this cycle of stress spending and eating out, or online shopping, and then you feel guilty like, I can't spend anything. And then there's the blanket advice that you get around just, make a budget. And it's not like we don't know that. But what most people don't understand really is that the stress that you're feeling around your finances, the depression, the anxiety, that's not coming from restriction. That's coming from uncertainty. Like, you might find that 80% of the stress that you're feeling, it's just not knowing if you're going to be okay. Like, if you're going to get to the end of the month and all the money's gone in and out, and it's like, do I have enough? That's why you can't relax. Getting on a budget might be a bit of a hassle, but the reality is that the thing taking up your brain space, it's not just your limited finances, it's the uncertainty of not knowing if you're going to be okay.
So what can we do to fight back against this rising cost of living? First, it's all about budgeting. It might seem basic, but tracking your expenses and cutting back on unnecessary spending can make a huge difference. You don't have to make drastic changes overnight, but even small tweaks can help you stay afloat. I made a video about that not long ago, about poor choices, bad money habits, impulse buying, doom spending, all that type of stuff. That's a real thing, and many of us are guilty of doing it, and then it leads to yet another video topic, credit card debt. Second, you want to increase your income. I know, easier said than done, right? Especially when typically the average American receives an annual raise of about 2%. That's really not a raise. That's just the theory of keeping up with inflation. But in the last few years, inflation is more than 2%. So even if you receive that raise, it's not going to put a dent in the issue. So you could do things like get a side hustle, freelancing, even considering a career change. There are plenty of opportunities online these days, from tutoring to selling products. That can help bridge the gap. And lastly, consider relocating or finding cheaper housing options. I know, once again, it's easier to talk about than to actually implement this into action. Sometimes moving into a more affordable area, that can make a difference. In my experience, I have relocated to another state to greatly increase my income. Sometimes it's into a higher cost of living area, sometimes it's not. But if you can juggle these things, if you have some options, try to create some options for yourself, you'll be in a better position. If you stay where you are and you know there's no way out currently in your situation where you live, the cost of living, the average income for your career choice, you got to do the math. I know a lot of us are anchored in our neighborhood due to family. You're rooted there. Understandable. But we don't have a lot of great options out there. We got to do what we can to get past this. And it doesn't look like it's going away anytime soon. I mean, it's been going on for years now. In the last administration, the inflation went through the roof. It's still bad now. So we've got to do whatever we can do, try to ease some of the pain. So if you're struggling to afford the basics, you know that you're not alone. It's tough out there for many of us. But if we can take a few small steps today, make a big impact down the line, it's worth doing. No matter how small, if you just start forward thinking, all right, I'm going to cut back on, I don't need to go buy an $8 coffee every day. You're already saving money. The small things, they add up over time. So take a deep breath, keep pushing forward. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Share your experience. What are you guys going through out there right now with this insane cost of living that we're all dealing with? I appreciate your time. I'll see you soon.